Okay, so a couple of days ago, I was in your class and I got to observe you teaching a word study lesson and the introduction to a writing lesson. And I just want to know, how did you feel? How did you feel about that lesson?
I feel like the lesson went pretty well. It was kind of a simple spelling rule, the F to VES, when you're making a singular, a plural. Um, it was nice because I feel like every student could kind of access the lesson, and so when we were doing all the different examples, they were all able to participate and contribute. And I think overall, most students were engaged and participating, and it seems that most of them were successful.
Is there anything that you would change, do differently?
Um, I think when anytime you do anything whole group, it's hard. It's nearly impossible to gauge if every single person is grasping it without stopping to check every single notebook. And so, if I could ever fit another more efficient way to make sure they've all got it at that time, probably would be a way to improve it.
Well, I just want to say how much I enjoyed being in your class. I love that we share kids, and it was
Yeah.
like a great privilege to be able to go into your class um, at their roughest point of the day. We both know that the
Yes.
afternoon with my homeroom is rough, and to see the most encouraging thing to me was that our management is in sync, it's in unison, and how they even like our like our warning system, our
Mhm.
just everything part of the management is consistent from one class to the other. So they don't have to think, oh, how should I act with this teacher?
Right.
And so that was so encouraging to me as a third year teacher, and you being so seasoned. It was that was a huge encouragement to me. And so
Yeah.
thank you for letting me come in your class.
My pleasure.
So things I saw is I saw that you were doing that lesson with the F to VES rule, as well as you started the analyzing their essays for STAR, because I know they just took their benchmark.
Mhm.
What I saw that I loved was you did a lot of turn and talk, and I was really impressed with how quick you were able to switch from one thing to the next thing. And so you changed like every 15 to 30 seconds,
Mhm.
and that just kept them engaged the whole time.
Yeah.
And with that crew, it's sometimes really, really hard because they're all over the place,
Yes.
and you were
It
able to
can be a
keep their
challenge.
focus. And so I thought that was awesome. Definitely, like, I know we need to give them that space and that room to think, but sometimes if you give them that too much time, they're
Right.
like gone, totally gone. I also just loved how encouraging you were. You did so much positive reinforcement. Um, and we both know our special babies in the room, and you knew that they could do this rule, and you called on them, and it was so cool to see how excited they were that they could do this. And I think that that sets you up for the writing lesson for them to
Right.
engage because they had an entry point in that word study. And I really enjoyed seeing how engaged they are because I know in my own room how if they don't know something, they're immediately checked out. So it was great to
Right.
start that way. I learned a lot. I just did. I love the student ownership that they had, especially when Nicole not only was able to tell you the rule, but then she was able to give you her own example.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was,
Yeah.
and so I was like, whoa, they've not only learned it, but then she owned it. Um, and then I loved your transition. You did the musical transition. When they heard that song, you didn't need to you gave clear instructions of what they were going to do, but once the music started, they immediately started going. And even with the students that didn't know where their binder was or couldn't find what they were looking for, or their binder fell apart, it wasn't a big distraction that got everybody off base. And so you were really moving around the room, really helping them in that transition. And I thought it was a beautiful move back to the carpet. So, um, the only thing that I saw that I might suggest was that I saw that when you were doing turn and talk on the carpet, you were focusing more on those kiddos that needed a lot of extra support every single time you did a turn and talk. And I know that that's probably to engage them because it's if they're not if there's not management on them, then they tend to get off topic or they're just disengaged, period. Um, but I'm just wondering what it would have looked like to see or what other kind of conversations were happening with some of the typical fourth graders. And, um, and so, but this was an amazing lesson. I so enjoyed it.
Thank you for coming. Come back anytime.